Oh, viewers, been naughty again. I've been tempted by something that I shouldn't be filming for the channel, apart from on Tweed Jacket Reviews, but here we are anyway, so I will have a go in it. This is a 2023 MG ZS EV SE standard range. But is it any good? Should you care? Let's find out, shall we? So I had the immense privilege in July 2019 of attending the UK launch for the MG ZS EV as a guest of the Planet Auto YouTube channel. So these cars are actually quite significant for me. It's the first ever launch I ever went to. And also that video was one of my first ever viral videos. First of all, we need to get something out of the way. This car apparently is 0 to 60 in about 8.2 seconds. Let's just put it into sport mode. There we go. Let's just see what happens when we get a gap and miss traffic.
Eine Stunde später.
Right, let's go. Oh my gosh. Woohoo. Got some wheel spin there. The power meter on here on the dash is actually more like a rev counter in here, and we're going rather fast. Yeah, I believe that. Let's put it back into eco mode and sort of dial things down a bit. Obviously that's going to eat up my range if I'm driving around in the sport mode everywhere. The earlier cars, they have a less powerful engine. This is about 156 horsepower. The early ones are about 141, I think. And they did 0 to 60 in around 9 seconds, which I have actually done as well. I did it in the full review that I did for Tweed Jacket Reviews back in 2019, when I actually was very privileged to have my hands on a car that was the first ever retail MG ZS EV in the country. My friend still got it actually, and he's had it for years now. So yeah, I think it's been dependable for him. I think it's been okay. He's had many electric cars. I'm not particularly an expert on electric cars. I do actually quite like them. This is one of the better cars of the year, although so many things have happened in the electric car market over the past 5 to 6 years that even these facelifted ones now do feel a little bit dated. So it's been replaced by the MG S5. It's very comfortable to drive, especially with the eco mode with the sort of easier steering. Obviously, if you put it into sport mode, you get better throttle response, and you also get a faster acceleration. But a lot of people who bought these cars would not be interested in that. They'd be interested in just kind of getting on with everyday life. It's a very suitable car for the family. The depreciation on electric cars at the moment means they're very good value used. Yeah, it's a nice, comfortable driving position, although it's a shame that the steering wheel doesn't adjust for reach in these cars. It only adjusts for brake, which is, yeah, a bit of a shame, really.
So originally today I was going to film a 2022 trophy version of the ZS EV, but it's sold, I think late yesterday or something like that, so I can't drive that. Instead, this particular car is being used by one of the sales staff at the moment. He's just running around in this because this was a demonstrator that some garage had, and you know, they're just making the most out of it as they can. Depreciation on these cars is pretty crazy. I looked at seeing the car that they just sold, a 2022 plate, top of the range trophy one, and that is being sold for under the 50% of the new price of it, and it's done in about 20,000 miles. When these cars were new, you could not get hold of them. A friend of mine ordered one late 2021 when they first came out, and he got it delivered 11 months later. They were going for over list price at one point, but not now, and so they represent really good value for money. Because this car's come in at quite sort of short notice, to me, I was going to film obviously the one that they had in stock. This is just one that you know, they use for internal purposes at the moment. There's not been a chance to clean it, so I do apologise for that. So the facelift occurred late 2021. This car has since been replaced quite recently, in fact in the last month or so, by the MG S5 EV. which is about the same size but on a completely different platform. When these cars came out in 2019, I was very, very privileged to be invited by the Planet Auto YouTube channel to be part of the launch in London. And I well remember driving one of these along with Mrs. Quirk, and we drove through London in the early version of this, which only had a range of 163 miles on the WLTP cycle. Just being amazed at the price of them. They were heavily discounted initially. There's a government grant, and then again MG also discounted them still further, so you could get one of these for very little money actually at the time, and they sold really pretty well. They were a sort of game-changing car, both for MG in this country and also for my channel, because I had one of my first ever viral videos with a really terrible walk around of the car that I filmed on the day and uploaded, I think early the next morning. And I'll never forget that. It was a Pimlico Blue one. And these cars have a sort of nostalgic kind of appeal to me. Although most people won't, they'll just see them as sort of sensible electric family transportation, but there we go. Anyway, so yeah, the SE model, it's still quite well equipped. It's still got a reversing camera and parking sensors, and it's got surround cameras and things like that on it. So we're not losing out too much, although I would like, you know, the better upholstery, electric seats, and the panoramic roof that the higher model came with. So boot's about 448 litres, and one of the reasons why this car was quite significant in that way was that the petrol version of this actually has the same size boot. You can adjust the floor up and down. We're just going to leave this because see, this is sort of being used by one of the staff at the moment, so it hasn't been time to clean it. There is the emergency charger in there, sort of granny lead thing. This car, being a standard range, only has a range of 198 miles, not 273 that the long range ones did. So it's not the highest capacity battery that you can get, but for a lot of people that's probably fine, to be honest. It was very competitive when the facelifted one came out in late 2021. Rear space is also good. We've got this interesting sort of houndstooth type upholstery in this car. Obviously I prefer the sort of faux leather of the Connect, sort of Trophy Connect model, or just Trophy. We have got this sort of red stitching in here, which is nice. It's a nicer interior actually than pre-facelift cars. One thing I would say, although you get a centre armrest in these, but you don't get on a pre-facelift ones, you still don't get a rear courtesy light. And if there is tinted glass, it's not particularly noticeable in this. The pre-facelift ones, I don't think have tinted glass at all in them. So just move that out of the way. We don't get matte pockets, presumably because it's just an SE. Oh no, we don't have the rear armrest. You probably get that only in my trophy models, which is again a bit of a shame. We've got some door bins though, that are quite big. You know, it's hard plastic in here, but you've got to remember you were paying, I think this car was £28,000 new, which isn't actually that much money really, when you think of the context of September 2023 when it's registered. Electric cars were a lot more expensive even 18 months ago really. So yeah, it was good. We've got USB and USB-C ports down there. Again, I'm not sure you got those on the pre-facelift cars. And yeah, it feels perfectly spacious. It's actually a very spacious car indeed in the back for the class of it. It was more aimed at kind of the petrol anyway, more aimed at sort of like a Nissan Duke market, and yet there's almost as much space in this as a Qashqai. So that was one of the main advantages of one of these. Right, let's go to the front, shall we? So, keyless entry. See powerful mirrors and everything. Sort of a little camera on the bottom of the mirror there. Just normal seats rather than electric seats for driver, but most of you won't be bothered about that. Got these very nostalgic stalks as well that we used all the way through the life of the original generation MG3. We had a 2014 MG3 for years actually, from 2016 to 2020. This was the big talking point though. This 10.1-inch touchscreen, which was bigger than the 8-inch screen that came on the original cars. We haven't got a wireless charging pad in there, but we do have 12-volt socket, USB-C, and USB ports as well. with Apple CarPlay Android Auto. One thing I don't like so much about this car is there's no physical volume knob like there was in the pre-facelift cars to turn the radio off when you start it up, because radio just, I think in these, just comes on and you can't do anything about it. Although it doesn't. Excellent, that's better, isn't it? There's a volume control down here, but it's not immediately obvious until you're less familiar with the cars. So you can adjust the fan, you turn it on and off. We can quickly go to the heating ventilation system here. You can adjust the fan speed up and down. You can adjust the temperature up and down using these sort of piano keys here. If you want to change, for example, the direction of the air, what you have to do is kind of sort of start pressing buttons like this, and yeah, it's a little bit annoying, which is a shame. No heated seats or anything on this because it's only in SE, but you know, some of you won't be bothered about that. We've got a lidded compartment here for the cup holders, which is good. These switches down here, one is for the driving modes. You get Eco, Normal and Sport. KERS, Kinetic Energy Recovery System. That's actually for the regen braking. I tend to drive GZS EVs on level 3. The battery, which is just on the display there, but we'll show that in a second, that just shows the battery level and things like that. It's quite small. So we turn the car on. There we go. You can see how much power we've got. Let's turn the fan speed down a bit, which you can do with that key there. There we go. Hard voltage battery's off at the moment, so that's not, if you look at the bottom of the screen here, we can see we've got normal mode. I can change that to sport mode, in which case my range goes down. Normal mode, it goes up slightly, and then eco mode, it goes up even further. So the WLTP range on this car is 198 miles. The long range was 273, which is quite significantly different. There you can see there, I'll just use the KERS switch here. That's level 2. And level 1. It's very small, but it's there. Put back to level 3, and a battery that just tends to sort of tell you, you know, how much charge it is left in there. In fact, I'm going to turn this on still further. That'll work better. Actually, maybe we start it. There we go. So we're sort of all on here now. I've got speedo on the left, and then reserve power on there. Now, if I use the battery switch, does that really do very much? No, it doesn't do a great deal. We've got a display here which shows an awful lot more. We've got current journey 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. We've got motor speed, all sorts of interesting information. We can just slightly alter it like that. So we get a total 3.7, 161 miles, and the average efficiency is 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. So go through here, that is for I think the sort of cruise control settings, and there we go. There's the tyre pressures, no faults, good. Brightness level, speed limit alert, that kind of stuff. Nothing particularly interesting in there, so we'll now go on to the system here. Battery health mode, there we go. Please plug in the connector. We've got 73 miles left, viewers. Anyway, so we've got these controls at the bottom here, and we've got another set of controls here. We can actually go straight on to, if we want to, the 360 camera. We can sort of do this and see how close we are to, I don't know, other cars around. There's that one, all very handy actually. So it's nice to have this standard by this stage on all ZS EVs. And we've got a random 3D mode, which I don't know if I really like or not, I'm not sure. But there it is. Let's put it back onto 2D mode. So yeah, please pay attention to the surrounding environment, that's sensible. We can adjust the fan speed as well on here if you want to, like this. One thing I am aware of in this car, I think we've only got single zone climate control, but again it's an SE model, so that's no surprise. So let's use the physical button to go back to the main menu, and Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Let's have navigations like this. If you've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, why would you be using it anyway? But let's flick to this side, so we've got vehicle. Look at some of the systems. Convenience, customized function for the star switch, so you can actually bind that to, I don't know, whatever you sort of want. There's various things you can set on there. I don't know what I'd have on there, I'm not sure. Anyway, we can, the lighting, vehicle information is on there. One thing I want to do actually is have a look at all these safety systems and things like that, to see if we can change some of these. That doesn't look like we can. That's really annoying, isn't it? Energy management. It's just all the charge settings, discharge settings, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you get a lot more sort of equipment on the Trophy and Trophy Connect models than you do on here, which is not a surprise really. They're much more expensive than this is. Right, so that's that. Unfortunately, there's fingerprints all over this, so it's not the clearest. The dash is nice and soft at the top, and it's got this thing on here as well, which is good. And then you've got these sections here, which also are quite nice feeling, particularly for the price that you paid for the car at the time. Big door bins in here. These kind of Audi or Volkswagen style vents, and then just flat vents in the middle. Fuel emission is good. Got a cubby in here with all sorts of things in it. One thing I don't think you can do, and we won't be doing it today anyway, is fit the secret mission documents in there. That doesn't work, which is a massive shame. But never mind, that's okay. Steering wheel controls are nice and straightforward actually. There's the volume controls for stereo and the source, and then for making phone calls. And then we've got voice commands. That's like a soft key for whatever you want, and then that's for controlling the various things on there. So yeah, you know, all very straightforward. The SUVs were always, I think, designed as cars which were to be user-friendly for someone buying their first electric car, and they did succeed in that way, although I really want to try now an MGS5 EV and seeing how much better it is. I've heard they are a lot better than these cars, which is understandable. These cars, the platform came out in 2017 and these cars launched in 2019, so they are reasonably old now, particularly in the electric vehicle world, which changes so quickly. Right, we've had a look at the boot. I think we need to look actually underneath the bonnet really. It's not really a front boot because there's not actually any space to put things in there, but we'll have a look in there anyway. Not an awful lot to say really about what's under here. The very first MG ZS EV was delivered in September 2019 to a friend of mine who's called Mr. Jackson, and it was his car that we filmed on Tree Jacket Reviews in October 2019. He's still got it and it's still under warranty, so that's good. If you go to about 80,000 miles, of course the car's not under warranty, but we haven't even had 7 years past yet since the launch of the ZS EV, so every single one of them, unless they've gone over the mileage limit, is still under warranty, which is nice. Not really a lot that's user serviceable in here. You notice there's two coolant reservoirs, one for different functions. Sorry, two for two different functions, I think. But yeah, it's a shame that a lot of this space would be wasted. If you could fit a compartment on top of there, like a little front boot, it would be better. But never mind. The new platform that the MG4 and the MGS5 EV are actually based on would be a bit more space efficient than this, but of course this is an older car now. Charging port is here. Unlike on the older ZS EVs, just get this out here, we go. Got a Type 2 and CCS connector, there we go, that's better. Type 2 and CCS connectors on there. They're a bit more robust, and the charging flap and rubber bungs was on the pre-facelift cars. You just click nicely into place like this. We'll go over in a bit some of the sort of charging speeds and things like that, because that's the sort of thing that you'll want to know when you're buying a car like this. But yeah, I think it does look a little bit better than the pre-facelift cars, although I also like the look of those as well. One advantage though over the older ones is we've got these LED headlamps which were not available on the pre-facelift cars.
So I've got the regen braking turned up to number 3, which is good. It means I can do, to an extent, some one-pedal driving, which I'm doing now, though the last little bit in town where I am, I have to press the brakes normally. But yeah, very, very relaxing to drive. If you want to see some videos of someone taking these cars on a very, very long road trips, then just have a look at the Planet Auto channel. They used to do that a lot back in the day when these cars were current. Obviously, they have been replaced since, but yeah, still making a lot more sense for people who want to change their lifestyle and have an electric car. And I can understand why you might want to do that. Just very, very simple and easy to drive. No gears to worry about. Instant acceleration. Nice and comfortable suspension. nothing particularly exciting apart from when you do a sort of launch on sport mode, which I just did, which is about the most exciting I get to an MGZ SUV. But nevertheless, yeah, it's quite easy and agreeable to drive. It's quite impressive, really, for the sort of money you're paying when they were new, and also for the money that you're paying for them now as a second-hand car. Sort of, both are good value propositions, as they say. Let's now look at some facts and figures, viewers. So the long-range car has a 73 kilowatt-hour battery, and WLTP range on that is 273 miles. This car's only got 198 miles of range. It's got the average efficiency is 3.6 miles. I think it's a 51 kilowatt-hour battery. The older car, that had 163 miles WLTP range. I think it was a 44 kilowatt-hour battery. So yeah, we've got all sorts of extra stuff on here. You actually bind this to the MG iSmart, I think it's called, which gives you information about how it's charging or whatever when you're not with the car. On a 7 kilowatt-hour charger, I think it takes about 10 hours to charge. Obviously, on the 3-pin thing in the boot, it's going to be longer than that. 10 to 80% on a 50 kilowatt charger takes 63 minutes. And then a 100 kilowatt hour charger, 10 to 80% takes 42 minutes. I think that would actually be a little bit less on this one. We've got a smaller battery, but as of a long range model. The only trim levels available on this, before the facelift, were exciting exclusive, which is standard MG stuff in 2019, and then after the facelift, late 2021, SE like this, and then Trophy and Trophy Connect. And then obviously by sort of end of 2024, late 2025, this car was discontinued. So viewers, should you consider one of these? Bearing in mind, I've been filming a lot of these in the past 5.5 years. Well, because of depreciation on these cars is quite heavy, you can pick up probably early ones of these for under £10,000 now. Car like this, maybe mid-teens it's worth. This one has not done many miles really at all. It's a pretty low mileage car. A lot of them actually are. The one I was going to drive today before it wasn't available had done, I think, less than 20,000 miles. So there's quite a few of them around, and they will be around, for some time to come, of course. But yeah, there we go. So that's it for this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below. And we shall see you again very soon for some more last-minute reviews.